Well, good morning, everyone. It is a little after sunrise, and I have returned to an area where I spent the morning yesterday. And after taking the photo of the ponderosa with the maples, there was two other scenes that caught my eye. These are some red maples up against sandstone. And these trees are ones I've had my eye on for a while now. And I'm convinced that I might be able to find a composition on them. So I'm going to head over there and see if I can find a way to put a rectangle on the scene. But if I do find a composition I like, the light will be good in a couple hours or so. And that's when the direct sunlight will hit the sandstone on the other side of the wash and just reflects really nice warm light into the scene. If I got some time to kill, I'm going to head over there, see if I can find a composition, and hopefully expose some film this morning. Conditions right now are really calm, blue sky overhead, no real wind, much the same as yesterday. So, well, the conditions are great. See if I can make use of them. Well, I've been here for almost 2 hours now, and I've got my camera set up there with my 240mm lens, and I am composing a photo of the scene with these maples here against this sandstone wall. And when I got here, the light was not all that vibrant. It was a little bit on the dull side. But what's happening now is that as the sun is getting a little higher in the sky, it's hitting all the stuff back behind me here, which is in turn reflecting some warm light into the scene. And this is still actually a bit on the early side for this particular glow. I know it's going to pick up even more light as the sunlight starts hitting the floor of the wash back behind the video camera right now. But I exposed a sheet a little bit earlier. That was a 6-second exposure, and I just exposed another sheet at 5 seconds as the light is building. But the wind is absolutely calm right now. There was a little bit of wind earlier, but the conditions today are very much like yesterday, which is ideal for this. But I'm going to stay around on the scene a little while longer and wait for the glow to build, because I honestly don't know what's going to look best, whether it's the more subtle light of the first photo or the one I just shot, which has a little bit more warmth. But I'm guessing the light will be a bit more dramatic in probably another, 45 minutes or so. And that's the one I'm thinking might be the best, but I never really know until I see that film in the light box. But definitely some absolutely fantastic conditions this year in Zion. And gonna keep hanging out here and see how the light continues to change. Well, it's a little after 1 o'clock, and after taking that photo, I went back to my truck, made lunch, and swapped out my film holders from this morning with some fresh ones. And originally, I was going to head over to the main canyon, take my bike in there, and do a little scouting. But then I was reminded that today's Friday, and the weekend crowd is showing up, and it's getting pretty busy. And even though taking a bike into the main canyon wouldn't be all that big of a deal, I was hesitant to even drive anywhere else, because I know that if I were to abandon my parking spot, well, I might have a hard time finding another one if I decided to stay where I am as opposed to heading to the main canyon. So I'm doing a little scouting here. Absolutely beautiful wash. Some nice maple litter there on the ground. The light's a little flat in here, but absolutely beautiful. I'm going to head down to a box elder tree I photographed back in 2019. And I always like checking up on it and seeing how much it's grown. And it's one of those trees where they grow very fast, and it outgrew the composition that I photographed it with. But it's always fun checking up on it and seeing how more it's grown. But so nice going for a little wander. Well, it was a little after 2 o'clock, and after checking up on that box elder tree, I stood in the exact same spot where I shot the photo, and the tallest branches now extend beyond the canyon wall, so it's set against blue sky now. As I record this, there's actually some bighorn sheep behind the video camera. They're just kind of hanging out, so it's a very Zion sort of experience. But I came to this area, and some of you might recognize this tree back behind me. So this is an ash tree surrounded by some maples, a little bit of oak. And this is a scene that I've seen photographed by Andrew Barufi, and I've always really admired this scene, and I really enjoy the photo that he has of it. And as I was hiking past it today, I noticed that it appears that it may have changed a little bit. So there's a Utah serviceberry bush, which is sort of the dead branches here in the foreground. And it looks like that has fallen down and possibly moved a maple branch, where now you get this sort of swirl pattern to it. And then there's some other maple swirling around it. And so it has transformed it a little bit. And the light is going to be pretty good here fairly soon. Another probably hour or so, maybe 45 minutes. The sun will shift further back behind this large wall of sandstone, and so there won't be any direct sunlight on this, but we'll still have light bouncing off all the sandstone back behind the camera, as well as the bighorn sheep back there. So I look forward to taking a photo of this, and I've got my camera set up here with my 240mm lens, vertical composition, And the wind continues to be very calm. Skies are perfectly blue, not a single cloud up there. And so I think I just have to wait a little while, enjoy my company with the bighorn sheep over there, and see about exposing a little more film on a pretty cool subject. So looking forward to seeing how this one works out. So it's giving me 1.6 seconds f45, which is kind of a pain. So I'm probably going to do 2 seconds f51. .6 seconds is tough to do. All right, let's do this. It's getting calm. There we go. 2 seconds. F51. Well, after my visit from the bighorn sheep, I was able to expose 2 sheets of Provia on that scene. One was a exposure of 2 seconds, f51, and then another one at 2 seconds, f45, because the light was changing a little bit. But now I'm heading back to camp and visited another past subject on the way back. This really cool ponderosa that I had photographed back in 2015. And it looks about the same. They grow much slower than the box elders or some of the other trees. But 2 subjects in one day with a bunch of film exposed. Pretty excited about that. Now it's time to head back to camp, get some dinner, and relax a little bit. Revisiting familiar locations is an important part of my photographic process. It allows me to gain a greater understanding of the world around me, further fueling my own sense of curiosity. Although I'm satisfied with the exposure and composition of my afternoon subject, the photo was spoiled by lens flare, which I didn't foresee being an issue. Although the sun and sky were well outside the composition, large format lenses have an enormous image circle, and when combined with the dim ground glass, lens flare can be difficult to predict. Of the maples I photographed that morning, this is my first exposure, well before the glow was at its strongest. I like the color contrast between the warm leaves and the blue light on the left side, but wish the light was more dynamic. By comparison, here's the final photo I took that morning. The reflected light is perhaps too intense, yet I appreciate how the trunks stand out from the background. My solution was to scan this sheet of film and then cool it down to bring back the wonderful color contrast of the first photo, but with the more dimensional light of the second. Overall, I'm pleased with the results, and it's great to finally photograph this scene that I've had my eye on for so many years. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you around next time. You may have noticed this video has no ads and no sponsors, and I think it's nicer that way. If you enjoy this ad-free and clickbait-free content and want to help me live my dream, a voluntary contribution through PayPal or by joining my Patreon helps keep my gas tank full and my film freezer stocked. You can find more information by visiting my website at benhorne.com/donate. I also have prints, eBooks, and my annual portfolio is available on my website. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you around next time.